Hi there, it's a absolutely wonderful privilege to have Mr. Herman van Westhuizen with us tonight. My name is Niel du Plessis. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Evercore Financial Advisory, a discovery financial practice that looks after all the offerings that the Discovery Group offers its clients and advises accordingly. We're not here tonight to only discuss business, but we're here tonight to discuss an extraordinary story about perseverance, about, soos die Afrikaners sê, deursettingsvermoë, and it's just absolutely magnificent for us to be able to correlate and talk about a businessman at heart, a family man at heart, and also an extraordinary sportsman that has achieved something that he's going to elaborate on, but it is just the most remarkable experience, as only two South African people have managed to conquer the Ocean 7 open water swimming. And Herman, you're right next to me tonight, and it's absolutely wonderful for you to give us some of your time to talk this through and just understand what it took to be able to have the grit and the determination to complete this incredible event. And as we know, only a few people worldwide have completed it, the full Ocean 7 open water swimming. And the fact that you are sitting right next to us tonight and you are able to contribute and share that story with us is a privilege for us. So I think we've got to, old adage, to start at the beginning. You can tell us a little bit about how this dream started and how you envisaged this playing out in the sense of the magnitude of this, because it is an incredible achievement. It's really great for you to share it with us, and we're super excited to hear a little bit from your perspective as having completed it and done it and ticked that box, so to speak. So over to you, Herman.
Yeah, Neil, the thing is, you know, while you were introducing me, I was thinking about the whole history and what happened, you know, and there's, I think it was actually Mandela that said, it's always impossible until it's done. So for me, I never thought that I would get there, and first and secondly, I never thought that I would be the 23rd person, sorry, in the world to achieve it. So, you know, you start with something and then you think, maybe I can do the next one. So it's from the beginning, and I think it's like many things in life. You start with a baby step and then you think, maybe I can do the next step, and so you get along, and for me it took 13 years.
Yeah. 13 years, Herman, and the resources, obviously the training and the vast amount of time and resources spent on this. I mean, if we look at Ocean 7 per se, I mean, it's across the globe, and I would like to understand it, you know, the intensity of it. I mean, we as social swimmers, sometimes within a confined environment, swim a kilometer or 2 or 3, and it's very taxing. So when we start talking about the magnitude of these swims, what I would like the audience to understand is the intensity of it, you know, and the fact that, you know, how much time and resources it has taken, and obviously sacrifice from your side, not only being in the pool and in the open water in training, but as a family man, as a successful businessman. I mean, everything requires time, and the quality time that you put into this, I mean, it must have been a very passionate or a heartfelt, passionate thing to be able to get you into this, to say, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to achieve, and I'm super determined to complete it. And it's maybe a bit of a question that leads on to you as a person, and you as a family man and a businessman, because I think this kind of grit and determination will also influence how you live the rest of your life. But possibly just from a congruency perspective, maybe we should start with the first swim, and then you can take us chronologically through it and sort of share some of the emotion and obviously some of the practicalities that it requires to complete something like this.
Yeah. Neil, the thing is, let's start with what is the Ocean 7. So the Ocean 7 was set by the World Open Water Swimming Association, and they call it the 7 most extreme open water swims in the world. It's not necessarily, I would say, 6 of them is extremely hard, which we'll talk about a little bit now. And the 7th one is, and that is swimming from Europe to Africa. So it's not that difficult technical swim, but it's still swimming from one continent to another. So it is a fascinating swim. And I'll start with that one from the beginning, although I did it last. So for me it was compared to the others.
So it's not something you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
No.
You can choose.
Well,
obviously condition based.
It's condition based. Is when you have time, when you can get a slot. So it all depends what happens in the world and what happens in your life. How good you are training. You train for like 2 years and then you get an injury, and then you fall back in the queue for that particular swim and you must apply again. So the 7 ocean swims is, I can mention it quickly, it's the English Channel. So in terms of comparison, the English Channel is sort of a median swim. There's easier swims and there's more difficult ones. Then the most difficult one for me in terms of, because it was extremely cold, is the North Sea Channel. That is swimming from Scotland, or from Ireland to Scotland. And that is a 12 plus hour swim in waters between 10 and 13 degrees. So it's even colder than Camps Bay or Robben Island on a cold day. And the thing is to last for so long in that water. Then there is the Catalina Channel. That is in the USA. You swim from the Catalina Island to Los Angeles. The Tsugaru Channel in Japan, that is from mainland Japan to Hokkaido, and that is across the South China Sea. Extremely rough sea, lots of currents, very difficult. Language is a major issue. So for me, in terms of how to prepare, how to get there, how to get to swim, what happens in the sea, and for my support team,
I mean, the logistics must be incredible just to get that down to a T, so that you are able to possibly manage this monster that you
so all of them are adventure. So you train like an Ironman in terms of hours that you put in, but then you've got to get there. You get to get your team ready. You need to negotiate local conditions, sort out your boat, and then when they give you a time to go, you go. So whether you get a lucky break in the weather conditions, it depends. So
the weather conditions must obviously be key. I mean,
for most of these swims are so long and so difficult in terms of current and temperature, that if the weather doesn't play ball on top of everything, the chances that you're going to make it is slim. But I mentioned 3 now. There's the longest swim of them all is the Molokai. That is in Hawaii. That is the famous surf ski channel where you do surf ski from the Molokai Channel across the, as they call it, the Channel of Bones to Oahu. That is the longest one. It depends, as the crow flies, it's 45 km, but most swimmers end up between 50 and 55 kilometers, depending on what currents you get. And the water is 28 degrees, so most of the other swims are extremely cold. This one is too hot, so you have a consistent, you're losing a lot of liquid in your swim, and that's a complete different change of strategy.
It's interesting because, I mean, as an outsider, you're looking in and you think obviously the cold water is way more of a challenge, but the warm water can on the body take its toll, so that it is a different challenge, but immense challenge nonetheless.
Yes, and the warmer the water, the more sea life is there. So then you get sharks, and you get the jellyfish, and you get the stingers. Especially when you swim through the night. So I remember when I swam across in the Molokai, about 3 times in the night, something bumped into me, and it's pitch dark. They switch off all the lights because they don't want to attract sea life. So you swim in complete darkness with a guide light and a kayak next to you, and things bump on you. And it is an awkward feeling.
And you at no point allowed to touch anything?
You're not allowed to touch anything in the swims. So the moment you touch the boat, you're disqualified. The other thing that makes it difficult, it is you're not allowed to even wear a watch. It's just a Speedo and goggles and a cap.
Wow.
So there's no support whatsoever when you feed. That's another quite interesting thing, is how we work out the feeds. but they're not allowed to touch you. They can hand you a bottle, but no touch with humans or other boats on any of the swims.
Wow, it's just such a phenomenal, you know, even in or looking at it from an external perspective and understanding how is this possible. You know, I mean, cycling 45 kilometers is a reasonable distance. So to actually be in the water for that time span, like, I mean, you're talking 13, 14, whatever hours plus. Take us a little bit on your mental journey when it gets super tough. I mean, how do you motivate yourself, and how do you stay in that zone? So listen, I'm here. I'm going to finish this, because I think the challenge that us kind of, let's just, for want of a better word, normal sports people, we do not understand the extremity of this kind of event. What goes through your mind at times when you're realizing that you're either in trouble, or you're super tired, or your body is failing you, or you know, how did you experience that? Possibly you can just share with us a little bit about that.
I remember,
that determination in a way, you know.
For me, it's all about extending your comfort zone. So Alex Honnold, the famous solo mountain climber, when he soloed El Capitan, that's at 1,000 meter granite wall that he soloed without any ropes, he mentioned that it's okay for him because he knows what to do. He's been training for 2 years, and he said, but he can't imagine himself swimming in the sea with sharks.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of
frame of reference.
Frame of reference. Yeah. So for me, I remember the first time I swam Midmar, it was overwhelming, and then it was followed by one or two. Yeah. So now it's many Robben Island swims or the Cape Water swims. So there you slowly get used to the cold and the sea life, and you realize that they're not there to eat you if you're careful enough. And then you become used to getting cold, going to places that you don't know. For me, it's already interesting. I say the seas all over the world taste different. So for me to get used to a very green sea that turns dark and funny colors when the sun goes down, to stay with it, I think it comes with baby steps. So if a normal person goes and he tries to swim a night swim, maybe in a Tsugaru,
super scary, very different.
It is super scary. Yeah. But if you just think about it, so whatever happens to the boat, I'm in the water, so the boat might fall over, and I hope all the guys on the boat can swim, but I can swim. So all I've got to do, if there's a big wave, I must just breathe.
That's right.
So I'm scared, but I'm not overwhelmed. So
it's almost like, because of the exposure, you're now composed in this situation.
Yes. So whatever happens, I must just...
You don't panic. You stay focused. Eh?
I've got a good friend that always say, if you panic, get it over and start thinking. So I remember that thing so well.
Panic quickly.
And get it done.
Get it over
and concentrate. Yeah. So it is like that. Sometimes you do panic. Sometimes when the thing stings you and you really get hurt, you must think clearly, and you must decide what is the next step. Maybe you call the boat. You must see what's happening with your body. I remember in the Tsugaru channel on my first attempt, so I failed Tsugaru for the first time, and I failed the Cook Strait as well the first time, but all because of weather and currents and temperature. In the Tsugaru, the first time, at the end, I thought I'm going to do it in 10 hours, and by 12 hours, around 12 hours, I ran out of feeds, and then slowly I could feel something is wrong in my body, and it got worse and worse, up to the point where I could not breathe anymore. So for me to get scared in a swim like that, where you don't know, so I was thinking one thing, my body was doing another thing. And I've been through Ironman, so the big difference is there you're in the water, it's in the night. You've got no idea what. The only thing that happens is you can't get above the water. So that was the most weirdest, scariest feeling in my life. And that night, I had one chance, and I shouted, "Get me out!" And my wife, she called the boat and she said, "This is it, we must quit." And that was like 600 meters from the side after swimming for 13 hours.
Oh, man.
So, but in the end, I was so glad, and I went after 2 years after that. I went to see a heart surgeon, and he told me what happened to my body that night. And he said my heart was failing at that point in time for various reasons, which we can discuss in another episode. But
I suppose
so that is coming back to what you.
So hectic that the body just, even as fit as you are and as well trained and prepared as you are,
it depends what happens on the day.
Could be complications.
It can be it can be complicated. Yeah. So it depends what happens on the day, and I mean there's a couple of swimmers that drown every year in the big swims, and it's mostly heart failures, and it's mostly either non-steroidal anti-inflammatories that they drink too much, or it's too little water or too much water, or they start dehydrating by whatever ways happen, because in the sea, whatever you eat must. On that day, remember, you're also flat in the water. Most of the things you do in your life is standing up. So now for 13 hours, you lie on your stomach, and your feet need to be spot on. So whatever, if you on a wrong feed for that, or your body doesn't work for like in the beginning of your swim, you're going to be in trouble.
So super technical preparation with respect to
it is. So
physiological side.
Yeah, so most swimmers, you think they're going to do it, but they will train for like 6 months, 2 years, as getting from slow to up to 40, 50 kilometers a week, and then the big thing is to find out what works for you in terms of energy and liquid. So it's very similar to Ironman.
Yes.
But on the day you need to be able to swap between feeds. So if like a sucrose-based energy drink doesn't work for you, you need to switch to something solid. But if a solid doesn't work for you, you have to change it all the time and stay within your calorific intake value and in your water intake value. So it's parameters that are pretty much set for the human body, but within that area, if it doesn't work for you in the salt water and you start throwing up, that is the beginning of the end for you. And then you must manage it with your team on the boat, and if you can't manage it, it's a year training and a lot of money wasted.
Tell me, Herman, obviously from the family's perspective, I mean it's a massive sacrifice from your side, but let's embroider a little bit on the family's involvement. And I know your family has been very actively involved in your planning. Obviously the support that needs to be there, you know, sacrificing time, sacrificing input from you in a sense of being present. There's a lot of time spent away from the family. So I think the family support is absolutely crucial, and with Nina, which is Herman's spouse, I mean, you can just maybe embroider a little bit on that in the sense of her involvement per se, and obviously the kids, and you know, the proactive role they play. And what I'm trying to get at here is how important it is for the family to be proactively involved, because this is, as most things in life, is a team effort, you know, and if you didn't have the support, it just wouldn't have transpired in this incredible journey.
Neil, the thing is, I remember when I set out to do it the first time, I got the family involved, and I said maybe I'm going to do the English Channel, and then something else happened in Israel with a swimmer that I met there that actually put me on the mission of the Ocean 7 swim. And I asked him, you know, are you keen? Do you think I should do it? But you know, at that stage it was like, I think there were like 2012, maybe 4 or 5 people ever did it. So it was complete extreme. And obviously there was worries about it, but the fact that they understood that I want to try at least 1 and 2. At that stage I never thought I could do 7, you know. So that was a big buy-in from them. And what I also, you know, sometimes I say a lot of these extreme adventurers, get your family involved, because if you're not going to do it, you're going to lose them, and they're going to lose you. So they bought in, and I said to them, let's make it a family thing. Whenever you can get along or you can go along, let's save money and we go and see weird and wonderful places in the world. So we did a few like that, but what you must always remember, life also comes into play. You know, the children grow up, your wife starts to do other things, they lose a little bit of interest, especially over my journey of 13 years. So I'm very glad for the support, but I also feel, and I think it's again a very important lesson for so-called adventurers, remember what you're doing to the people around you. You know, they're supporting you. So when you're done with your adventure, switch it around. Now it's time for you to support them.
Correct.
So that is how the whole thing played out. And remember, for me, I was a businessman. I was a family man. I'm not like a super sportsman that had time and sponsors and everything on my side. I basically had to make it work. And at the same time, as you mentioned in the beginning, I had to make my business work, and obviously I wanted to keep the family involved.
mentioning that, I think it's such a fine line as a successful businessman, the time that it takes. We can talk a little bit about your water skills business. I think it's important that people also understand the pressures that come with having to deliver quality service to your clients and in your framework, the time it takes, the effort it takes. We are sitting here in this majestic environment of Stellenbosch, but you traveling to Pretoria, you're traveling all over the place, and that day in itself takes a lot of time. And then staying on top, and this is where, when it comes to the financial planning side of it, and we're going to talk a little bit about, the way you've evolved within the Discovery ecosystem. And if we look at the, not necessarily just from a wellness and health perspective on the vitality side, but actually how, and this will be interesting to hear it from you, in a sense of the focus and the attention to wellness, not just because of your love for completing an event or pushing yourself to the limit, but in the sense of actually understanding what has transpired within the Discovery ecosystem to take that consciousness of wellness and integrate it into a financial system, monetizing it on a wellness chassis, as the group has always envisaged to make people healthier and enhance and protect their lives. That is the most incredible thing, and to see the fruit that's come of that worldwide now. I mean, if we look at the vitality model worldwide, I mean, there are 30-40 million people that are involved in a scenario where that health and wellness awareness not only changes their life from a health span point of view. I mean, we always talk about lifespan, but the last 10-15 years of your life can be absolutely horrendous because there's no health. And then bringing it in, and since I've known you, seeing the focus of a businessman, having the responsibility in what you do there, the focus in what you do there, the balance between family, and I think if we're all honest with ourselves, it's a very difficult balance to get right, because there is no real right or wrong, but it's reading between the lines and managing the nuances when things aren't going well. When things are going well, it's usually a lot easier, but when things aren't going well, it's to be able to bring it back together, bring the business environment back together, the family environment, obviously from a health and wellness perspective. They all play a very balanced role, and as somebody looking in that now has got to know your family better, I've got to know you better, I kind of know what makes you tick and how you think, and especially when the pressure's on as well, because that's when the true self comes out, when there's a lot of pressure, and it's been remarkable for me to be part of this journey and to be part of the financial journey. And possibly you can just tell us a little bit about how you experience we'll talk a little bit more technically, but that's not what I want to achieve from this conversation. It's really how you experience the awareness that the Discovery Group and the Discovery Group's financial system has brought into your reality when it comes to managing your life, business and finance.
Yeah, Niel, I was thinking again while you were talking. So one thing a person must remember: life owes you nothing. So you must take, and I think it's a lot, like again, you know, for this, I swim so many hours. I think all these funny things when I'm swimming. So
I can imagine you have a lot of time to think.
A lot of time to think. So that's a nice thing about swimming. You can think. And you asked me, I'm sorry, I'm divulging a bit. So you asked me, how do I do these long swims? So eventually, I've learned to meditate while I'm swimming. And another thing that I've learned to do while swimming, I learned to pee while I swim because it's too cold to stop and wee. Now I need to wee while I'm swimming, but that's a point now. So
it's quite a skill.
It's quite a skill, yeah. It's like walking and weeing.
That's right.
But in any case, yeah. So everything starts. You must take responsibility. So you can coach along in life, but at one stage you must remember: if you marry a woman, you must look after. That's your role as a husband, unless she's very rich, maybe still. But okay, and then your children. You know, once you have children, you must look after them. And when you're engaging in a sport, whatever it is, just be responsible. You know, take your chances. That's all good, but make sure that you've got backup. And I must say, I had a thing there and a thing there and little money there, and you know, how confused my situation was. But when you explained the discovery platforms to me, it made a lot of sense to get security behind the scenes.
Correct.
So that's where I was, and I must say, my wife again, in my absence, she got the thing together. But that is where I think discovery plays a big role for anybody. And the thing that I never realized is that you can be fit, and you've got a nice word, they monetize fitness, but it's not like monetizing fitness. It's basically there's risk for them, and you get a little bit of the money back. Absolutely. By being less of a risk to the health systems of a company or a country for that matter. So I hope I answered
absolutely
a little bit how I
just
feel about
touching
the
on
whole
that
thing.
Point, Herman, you know, as you mentioned now, rightly so, the shared value model, and as it's come, you know, when the health company started in 1993 to where it is now as kind of the flagship in a way, in the sense of the integration model and you know, where everything emanated from. And then as you know, the life company and Vitality and the insure company and the bank now that's getting incredible traction in the sense of the digital environment, obviously, but once again, that shared value that comes through and is delivered back, and not necessarily being a Herman van der Westhuizen or being the fittest person in the world. It's just being aware, consciously doing what you're supposed to be doing, and ultimately the responsibility is between you and the company. It's not just a pie in the sky, you'll get something out, etc., etc. No, it's very accurate, and ultimately you can determine how the integration process will benefit you in the long term. And when I look at your portfolio, particularly because you're doing it fully and you're fully committed in the scenario, in the sense of what it's done in your portfolio. I mean, the amount of cost saving in the sense of the full integration model between comprehensive health integration, obviously your investment environment, which we haven't really spoke about, and the extra value, the shared value that's been leveraged through that, through the cost saving, etc., etc., which a lot of clients don't understand. I think it's like a kind of another loyalty platform. Yes, there's lots of loyalty out there. There's 1,900 loyalty platforms in a South African context, but with a discovery environment and the way loyalty almost separates. Loyalty kind of attracts and adds value, yes, but the shared value within the structure, and how you've experienced now to look at the year-end numbers per se. How much have I saved this year? How much have I accrued in additional value adds or boosts, for want of another term? And if you package that and integrate that whole thing correctly, and I think the essence is where we as Evercore Financial Advisory and the services we provide, it's imperative that the likes of Herman van der Westhuizen and his family and other clients out there understand the process. They need to understand the process. They need to be coached. There's going to be times where you're not sure, and yes, it is complicated. and there are certain times that you actually need to apply your mind to be able to want to be coached to achieve ultimately what your goals are. I mean, we partner in this with them to be able to create a model that suits you, that will work for you, and ultimately deliver the fruit that you want at the end of the tree at day's end. Be it short-term planning, medium-term planning, in the sense of you need it, you know, you're a businessman, you do well, and there's cash flow available to do the things you do, and obviously that takes planning. But for just an average person like myself, you know, in planning your finances, etc., etc., it's almost a renewed focus, if I can put it that way, that you can look from the outside in with guidance, and then be able to help and come alongside you to be able to achieve your goals. And something that struck me, what you said, is at some point in your life the rubber hits the road, and that was it's not a wake-up call, but it's almost a wake-up call, in the sense of somewhere along the line responsibility hits the road, and once you come through that, and you get your team together, your advice team in different aspects of your life, financial life, emotional life, your family life, etc., and the way and the people you surround yourself with, that made a lot of impact on me, because I think at some point in your life you have to take control of what you can control, and that focus and that determination, that grit, has been so amazing for me, looking in to see, you know, how you've managed that, and I'm 100% sure that didn't come without immense challenges, from every aspect: business realm, family realm, obviously your fitness regimes, etc. But just absolutely extraordinary story that I really want the world and our associates to know, because it's a superb example to all of us, and something that really motivated me. So yeah, thank you very much for sharing. I think, is there anything else that kind of that you would still like to fill in? Or?
How many hours have you got?
I think we're gonna seeing that we've got some. I won't mention the names of the wines, but I think we can spend some time. I think we might throw a little piece of meat on the fire if we need to, but yeah, I think that kind of summarizes it.
One thing I can tell you, you know, sometimes you, and I think all of us, we actually had this discussion before, is sometimes life gets too much. So, like, whenever, say for instance, you walk and it's getting too hard, you can always do one more step. So if you just have the mindset to do one more step, you can do 1,000 steps. And that is what I learned with the swimming. You know, for me, life often gets too hard for me. I'm just like anybody, but I must say, what the swim, because I was in life in these situations, sort of, or okay, I could quit. You know, I'd put up my hand and it's gone. But to stick and doing what is really uncomfortable, really difficult. Sometimes in life you must remember the power that you've got. And I think if you ask me overall, what did I learn from that, it is that thing. So sometimes after the swim, I also forget. I always get frustrated with your family, or I do something wrong, and or I don't spend enough time, or I don't do this. And the answer is actually just do the step. So just ask for forgiveness, or just fix it, or just
that was a good one. Ask for forgiveness.
Don't sit and do nothing, you know. So yeah, you asked me if I wanted to add something. That's what I can add.
Fantastic, Herman. We really appreciate you sharing, in a way, sharing your heart with us. Obviously, we can go into a lot more technical detail, but that's for another time. And I very much look forward or to be alongside you in this journey with the Discovery Group, and you know, if I think of your particular situation and the risk management around that. I mean, I remember when we spoke, probably the first or second time, and you know, things can happen. This is a dangerous environment that you allow yourself into. by choice, I must add. But you still need to be protected, you know, to protect and enhance your life. I think that is a key, and I think the integration system within the structure and the innovation that's constantly taking place will still keep adding that value as you move on into the different phases of your life. You're at a specific phase now. Soon the children will be out the house. Then it will be another phase. It's almost a reorganization of the home and the finances per se. You know, as certain responsibilities are completed. You know, from a financial perspective. But what stands out to me is the grit and determination that you've shown us within your physical self and mental self, in the sense of what you achieved in the sports realm, flows through and is a lesson to all of us in how you and how we should approach things with that perseverance. And I think the key word for me here is perseverance. As you said, the next step. It's the next step. And to keep going. It doesn't matter what it throws at you.
No, it's about never give up, because it's not necessary. You know, you don't need to give up. Nobody needs to. You know.
Well, this has been super encouraging for me. I really thank you for taking the time to share with us and sharing from your heart. And I'm sure we'll be I don't know what's next for the Van der Westhuizen family or for Herman. I can honestly say, after what you've achieved and the time and energy and effort it took to do this, I suppose you do need a little break now. You do need, I know you as a person will keep going in the sense of your motivation for your physical self and the gratification, and I must add the relaxation that come and the mental health that also is enhanced by you doing what you're doing. So I think from that perspective, it's going to be interesting, very interesting. I'm following it very keenly to see where Herman van der Westhuizen is in the next
peer pressure is good.
I think but as you said, Herman, very rightly so, now is family time for a while anyway. But thank you guys, thank you very much for joining us in this short journey with Herman van der Westhuizen and his wonderful swimming achievement. And we look forward to sharing with you in the very near future and to come alongside you to assist. You know, there are many implications and complications in your financial journeys, but we're always happy to help and to guide. I think in essence, to get certain things across the line where you're struggling, not only from a coaching perspective, but also from a practical perspective, to be able to do what we're good at doing and assisting you in doing that. But thank you very much.